Hi, my name is Courtney Miller and I'm the reading specialist at our school, and I'd like to introduce you to the 5 components of reading. The first one, phonemic awareness, and phonemic awareness is the awareness of phonemes or the awareness of sounds. This is where students are learning and understanding that sounds exist. There are 41 sounds between letter sounds and sound blends that students are learning and using in everyday speech. A phoneme is the smallest unit of the spoken language. Now this has nothing to do with letters, it's just their sounds. So for me, I like to use body spelling, which is basically spelling on your arm. Beginning, middle, end sound, and then they can cat, blend it together. So this is a great way before you introduce letters for you to practice hearing the sounds that you hear in words. Cat has 3 sounds, so they can go cat and blend it on their arm. The second component of reading is phonics. Now that's the introduction of letters. That's combining letters with sounds and combining them together and seeing that relationship. This is where students learn patterns of words and writing. They start learning sight words and high frequency words. They start understanding common words and learning how to decode and blend and segment and syllables and all these other things to decode unfamiliar words and practice those things. For this, I love secret sentences. This is so much fun. They are using beginning sound plus the grapheme or the letter representation of the sound. So turtle starts with the t sound and its T represents the t sound. So it's turtle for tea. And they get to write fun and silly sentences, and then they can use the same pictures to make sentences for their friends, which is such a fun activity for them to do. The next one is vocabulary. Now for vocabulary is reading and understanding what you're reading. So if you read the word chair, I can go chair and I see the picture of a chair in my mind. I like to use read alouds for this. This is Schmelf the Hanukkah Elf, which is one of my favorite read alouds during this time of year. And it is a great way for us to practice vocabulary. What we'll do is we'll go through the book, find out the big words we want to learn about, make a list, and then while we're reading, we're going to go through and find those words and identify what they mean. So we're going to go through and find the word menorah, and we're going to say it's a candelabra with candles in it, and there's 8 of them, and we kind of can describe things. We use context clues to kind of do that. So you're working on a comprehension skill while you're also working on vocabulary, and it's a great way to keep practicing and making new things. Plus, I like to have a writing center where I can put all of these vocabularies into it so my students can start writing. They can use these words in sentences and passages of their own making, which is great. And having that separate writing time really connects reading and writing together. And having a center with those words in it really connects them. Maybe they want to write their own Schmelf the Hanukkah Elf book, and they can do that with those vocabulary words given to them. The next component is fluency. Now for fluency, I really like teaching it with fun things. So for instance, I like rereading the same text with funny voices. Fluency is reading at the rate that you speak. So it's not just me reading things correctly and getting every word correct, that's great. But if I get every word correct and it takes me double the time to read it, that's not great. So it's reading words correctly at the right rate with the right inflection. So it's reading like you talk. And for struggling readers, often who are struggling with fluency, it's that there's too much on the page. So these are line trackers, and these are great. This one is clear window for students to see. They put this up and they can see one word, one phrase, one line at a time. You can also use index cards or half sheets of paper. These are great to practice that. Plus, like I said, funny voices, Santa Claus words, all those fun things are a great way to practice fluency. And last is reading comprehension. Now, reading comprehension is the accumulation of all of those things. It is students working on phonics, phonemic awareness, vocabulary, and fluency all at the same time. It's that shift from learning to read to reading to learn. It's where they're able to comprehend what is in front of them. What did they just read? What happened in this story? So I do it with read alouds. That's the best way to practice it, in my opinion, is read alouds. We start by asking questions before I read, asking questions while I'm reading, and asking questions when I'm finished. And one of my favorite assessment tools to really understand whether they're getting the comprehension skills is to do an exit ticket after my story. So I'll give them an exit ticket with a reading comprehension question on it and ask them, hey, what did you hear happened in the book? What did Schmelf do? What do you feel that was good in the book? Where was your favorite part? All of these things to kind of see if they're getting into what's the story. And then we turn it into a writing activity, and we'll say to them, hey, here, if I was Schmelf, I would, and there you go. You're connecting the story, the reading comprehension tools you did, and writing all in one thing, which is such a good thing to connect them all. So let's talk assessment for a minute. Assessment is the hardest thing that we do every day. It has a lot of struggles with it, especially if it's not designed correctly for teachers. But what I do like about assessment is that it gives me a good idea of what everything is going on. I can know where my students are at all times, and I'm able to kind of gauge my teaching that way and group my students in the way that works best for them. So one thing that I wanted to share with you is personal data binders for your students. So these are just binders that all of your students can have, that they can track their fluency, their rate, they can track their phonics, they can track their sight words, they can track everything all in one place, and then you can just go grab it when you need it, when you're doing student conferences or things like that. Also, running records are a great way to assess your students. I use them for fluency, but reading comprehension is in there, and phonics and all these other skills are also in there too. I wanted to give you a little online tool you could use. This is an online tool. It's a game you can play with your students. So it's called iReady. It's part of our iReady curriculum. Basically what this tool is games for your students that practice all 5 of those skills. All 5 components are on there. Students are learning about phonics and phonemic awareness, and they're practicing it with monsters and teachers and crazy quests and a lot of fun. And students love it. And lastly, before I leave you, I want to talk to you about what I can do for you. So for you guys, I am your coach. I am your confidant. I'm the person that you can lean on when you need something. I'm a toolbox full of tools. Just open up to see what you can find. Don't hesitate to come to me for anything that you need, including things your students might need. So I do intervention lessons where I do pull out and push in lessons for your students to help them during the times that they need. I work on tier 2 and tier 3 instruction, and I'm there to do those things as well as diagnostic testing to help your students out. Whatever you need, I'm there to help you. If you have any questions, just let me know, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye.